Iran began funeral events on Tuesday for President Ebrahim Raisi as the country grapples with the fallout from his sudden death at a time of heightened regional tensions and domestic uncertainty. Thousands of mourners gathered for the first funeral event early Tuesday in Tabriz, the closest major city to the crash site. Hello and welcome. You're watching Editor's Lens with me, Ina Sevach. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has declared 5 days of national mourning for Raisi. Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdollahian and 6 others killed in the helicopter crash in a remote part of northwest Iran on Sunday. The shocking incident wiped out 2 of the Islamic Republic's key political figures, raising questions about its leadership beyond Khamenei, its ultimate authority. Videos posted by Iranian news agencies showed crowds lining the street behind barriers Tuesday morning under a grey sky in the northwestern city of Tabriz, awaiting a procession carrying the flag-draped coffins of Raisi, Amir Abdollahian and 6 others killed in the crash.
Ebrahim Raisi has been laid to rest, but what happened at the funeral is still dominating headlines. During the final procession of burials in Iran's holy city of Mashhad, a sea of people were heard chanting slogans against the United States of America. Death to America chants reverberated at Iran's holiest Islamic site. People were seen expressing their anger against the US at the shrine of Imam Reza. Notably, conspiracy theories blame the US and Israel for the shocking chopper crash. Many Iranians believe the crash that killed Raisi was the work of Washington and Tel Aviv.
Against the backdrop of Raisi's death, while there are unconfirmed, speculative reports of foul play, the more pertinent question to ask is what impact will Raisi's death have on Iran-backed militias throughout West Asia and Tehran's support for Russia in the Ukraine war. Raisi's hardline approach had seen Tehran put itself in a confrontationist mode vis-a-vis the West.
خانم مرحومه امینی همه رو متاثر کرد و همه معتقدن که این قضیه معلوم بشه و روشن بشه. حتما همه ما با هر سلیقه‌ای و با هر نگاهی سیاسی، با هر گویشی از هر جای کشور به این قضیه که باید پیگیری بشه به صورت شفاف و عادلانه این قطعی است. اغتشاش به هم ریختن امنیت کشور، ایجاد هرج و مرج، تعدی به مال و جان مردم به هیچ عنوان. افرادی که در اغتشاشات شریک و سهیم بودن اینها حتما باید باشون به صورت قاطع برخورد بشه.
In the wake of Raisi's death, there are 3 outlooks for Iran. In the near term, Iran will prefer stability and continue with existing policies. In the medium term, much will depend on the next president of Iran, and Tehran will want to achieve or consolidate its strategic objectives without escalating regional tensions. In the long term, Iran will not deviate from its goal of becoming a great power in West Asia. Raisi was a conservative hardliner, unlike his more moderate predecessor, Hassan Rouhani. His tenure saw the country increasingly clash with the West, particularly over the role of Tehran-backed militant groups such as Hamas and Hezbollah, and advance its nuclear program after the US withdrew from a landmark nuclear deal. His death sparked fears of a succession crisis amid already heightened tensions after Tehran's unprecedented direct retaliatory attack against Israel. However, most observers agreed that there was no major threat to the stability of the regime. The late president was among the top contenders to replace the aging Khamenei. To pay their last respects to Raisi's unfortunate death, Iran and several other Islamic nations declared national mourning. Although some Iranians have expressed relief at the death of Raisi, 63, who was also known for presiding over brutal crackdowns on political opponents and protesters. Leila, a 21-year-old student in Tehran, told the Reuters news agency that she was not saddened by the news because he ordered the crackdown on women for hijab.
Of course, it does have influence, especially on domestic policy, and sort of sets the tone for how Iranians, live their lives. But really in Iran, it's the supreme leader that holds ultimate power and makes the most consequential decisions. There is sort of an immediate succession plan laid out by the Constitution, where the temporary, the first vice president, sort of the most senior of all the vice presidents, becomes the temporary president, and then elections will be held in a couple months. But this is not something that will change Iran's foreign policy, nor its significant domestic policies, because those are really set at a higher level. Ebrahim Raisi, while he was not super consequential in his role as president, he was certainly being groomed for years by the supreme leader, by kind of the conservative establishment, to eventually take on possibly the supreme leader position when the current supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, dies. And he is 85 years old. So,
according to Iranian state media, the chopper carrying the Iranian president split into two parts. Analysts believe that the US-made helicopter's tail rotor may have sliced off due to fog, adverse weather conditions, and mountainous terrain. After the fateful incident, the bodies of President Raisi, FM Hussein Amir Abdullah were recovered somehow in near to zero visibility the following day. However, aviation and military analysts have raised questions on the effectiveness of Iran's aging fleet. Analysts have also blamed crippling Western sanctions on Iran for its inability to upgrade its air fleet, because the helicopter carrying President Raisi and FM of Iran was a US-manufactured Bell 212. The Bell 212 helicopter was introduced in 1971 and was quickly adopted by both US and Canada. Aviation experts highlight concerns about the helicopter's outdated specifications and its suitability for flying in challenging weather conditions. Many have questioned why Raisi's aging chopper was given a nod to fly in bad weather conditions. Former Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif blamed US-led sanctions on the Iranian aviation sector for the crash. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov also blamed US sanctions on Tuesday for jeopardizing aviation safety in Iran and putting people's lives at risk. In response, Matthew Miller, the State Department spokesman, later told reporters that Washington was not going to apologize for its sanctions, adding that it was the Iranian government that was responsible for the decision to fly a 45-year-old helicopter in what were described as poor weather conditions.
We have to say is we have to go away from all these conspiracy theories. So the airframes of Iran are very old. The weather was pretty bad, and this is a mountainous area. So they were probably flying outside limits. This is not conspiracy theory. It's one of those things that happen when you shouldn't be flying in that terrain. And that's why it took quite a long time to find the former President Raisi. He won't be missed, as you said. He was known as either the Butcher of Tehran or the Butcher of Iran, being part of the judiciary for a long period of years.
Iran has not offered a cause for the crash that killed Raisi, but there has been no suggestion of foul play. After the Iranian state media broke the news of Raisi's departure, Iran's first vice president Mohammad Mokber was quickly named a temporary caretaker ahead of an election to choose a new president that has to take place in the next 50 days. Iranian state media said the model that crashed amid heavy fog was a US-made Bell helicopter that Iran bought in the early 2000s. It officially launched a probe into the crash on Monday. Nevertheless, against the backdrop of Raisi's death, while the ultimate authority in Iran lies with Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei, in the Iranian system, power is also diffused across multiple institutions like the IRGC, Guardian Council, and the Assembly of Experts. And within these, there are divided shares of voices. So it might be difficult for now to tell which of these voices will gain prominence and influence Iran's policy direction. India, which recently inked a long-term agreement to operate a terminal at the Iranian Shahbar port, will do well to watch the post-post in Iran closely.
Oh,